Okay.
That was kind of badly ended that last bit, but little off.
Well, I don't know how you can segue this, but I was just going to. So we got interrupted during Shock of the Future. And I did want to ask you about one album cover. You mentioned Patti Smith being put away, and I like that too. Uh, Within seconds, she puts, I recognized, oh, there was another cover I recognized, I think.
It was one of
The
the
one
I think one
facing
of
up.
the Tangerine Dream guys or something like a Klaus Schultz or one of those
Okay,
guys.
well, there's another one she puts away with the back spine facing us, and it's just a picture of a guy, and it looked kind of familiar. Is that maybe the
I think
Tangerine
it's
Dream?
one of the yeah, I think it's one of the synthesizer guys, like one of the it's about as specific as I could be. I think.
Edgar Froese?
Yeah, like one of those guys, I think, or something. And I think it's
Oh, I was
kind
thinking
of
of something
a
else.
slightly iconic cover, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to see that
Yeah.
again. But you're right. There is a
Okay.
couple other, and there's like then a loungy sort of cover
There's that, and
shows
I
up.
thought there was another one that I recognized. Oh, it was Terry Riley. That's what it was.
Terry Riley, maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Terry Riley was already on the shelf, but then she puts another one in where the guy in the back almost looked like a singer-songwriter, I thought,
Hmm.
right after she puts away the Patti Smith. I thought you might be able to identify it,
Now I'll
but
have to watch it again.
okay, I'll try to take a screenshot from your clip and send it to you. Maybe you'll recognize it. Okay, did you have anything else to say about that
I
film?
don't think so. I thought that the filming of that little bit and with the music was just kind of really beautifully done. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just very moody and dreamy, right? And to your point, it's interesting you called the movie morose, which I hadn't really thought of, but I mean, it was
might be the
clearly for
wrong word.
me. Well, for me, it's a movie that like it's kind of like nothing happens really. Like
Maybe that's
so
it's
little
just very
happens, right?
spare.
It's in this apartment that she's like subletting or something. Again, you would never have banks of synthesizers like that in an apartment in 1979, but it just there's like a party and like literally, and you know, her friend comes over and they write a song, which is kind
Let
of
me ask you about that friend. I thought they were going to become romantically involved, and they didn't, did they?
no,
I mean,
I
that
don't
was
think
sort of
so.
intimated in a way that
I
they
think
might.
but I think that whole movie they just intimate a lot of stuff. Like nothing really
Yeah.
happens, right? It's kind of bizarre in that way. I mean, but I just thought, you know, it caught a mood and lots of
Yeah,
neat
no, I
stuff
agree.
with keyboards and all that. And it's not a great movie, but it's a good movie. It's interesting to
Um, and the lead actress we should mention is the daughter of the director of El Topo,
yeah.
and she's good. She's quite good at it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, moving to another clip, and I just had them up. I thought we could talk about fingers, James
Hmm.
Toback's fingers. So the first thing I'll say is that we always sort of take time to say that
James
this
Toback.
person's yeah, this person's in
Yeah.
trouble and that person's in trouble. I don't think anybody has dated more poorly than James Toback, who
Yeah.
I think he was infamous as a creep at the time and made a
Yeah.
film called The Pickup Artist and was friends with Mike Tyson. You read about his weird relationship with
Yeah.
Kale. He's got a paper trail behind him, and he's been caught out. I think he's got about
Oh
like
yeah.
10 actresses after him.
Yeah.
And before we talk about the scene, which is Harvey Keitel in a 1978 film, I think,
78. Yeah.
clearly kind of with Scorsese on its mind and Mean Streets and Who's That Knocking at My Door in particular, and at least one actor in common besides Keitel in the scene that that you chose, the Jamies, isn't the other guy who's sitting across from him? Isn't that a
It's
Scorsese actor?
Michael. Is it Michael Gaza Pentangeli?
Oh, that's who it is. It's Pentangeli from The Godfather.
Who I didn't like in Fingers much at all, I gotta say. Like
I haven't seen that
really
film.
over the top. Like it's just
Yeah, he's
like it's borderline cartoon Pentangeli or something. He's okay, but it's just like
yeah.
he's even hard to listen to though. Like he's got that really super gruff voice through the whole film, and it's kind of like yeah, it's not as well directed as he was in The Godfather 2, put it that way.
I could definitely see that. I mean, he's great in The Godfather, but he's very, florid and over the top in The Godfather, which just happens to work. So I think there's a thin line there, and I could
Yeah.
see him.
Yeah.
across on that. Um, so it's, modeled after Scorsese. Anyway, before I'm going to let you describe the scene and talk about Jamie's, but I just wanted to say, do you think, I have to wonder if, because my memory of the film is Harvey Keitel carrying around the boombox, walking down the street. I've got to believe Radio Raheem and Do the Right Thing Spike Lee must have had fingers on his mind, right?
I was thinking about the hip hop connection in general, but I didn't really think specifically about that. I almost listed the Public Enemy track from Do the Right Thing. I probably should have put it on this playlist I made actually.
Yeah.
Said you like that scene a lot, but yeah, no, that
I mean, Spike Lee's such a
that.
film student
Yeah,
and such a Scorsese fan, and by extension, maybe has some interest in a film like Fingers. And not just is he carrying around the boombox, but he's getting in arguments with somebody.
yeah. I mean, the only thing I would think maybe is that I think Spike Lee was also tapping into just what was probably going on in the neighborhood all the time, right? With the boom
That's
box
true.
stuff. Like
There is that. I
I
have to
think that'd be
believe
a
it was
little
even
more on his mind, maybe than the movie. I don't know, but
no, I think that's definitely at the forefront of his mind. I think what I'm saying is that I think he probably stopped and said, that's Radio Raheem's kind of like
yeah.
James or Harvey
Well,
Keitel.
and the great thing I think about, and I didn't love Fingers. I liked it. I liked quite a bit of it, but there's something about it that just I found a little too unnerving or something. But the hilarious thing is that the songs that Keitel like uses this sort of precursor to a boombox for, and it's a pretty shitty looking. Like it's not this big thing, right? It's this thing you can carry in one hand. But apart from Jamie, Summertime, like there's one, and it's quite a good scene too. I think, excuse me, where he plays Merrily Rush's Angel of the Morning.
You
He's
mentioned
got
that.
the chiffons, One Fine Day, but it just like they're hardly like these anthems of machismo walking like boombox, right? Like I just thought it was, but the Merrily Rush is great, sounds great, right? And he's just walking around playing it on this little plaster thing. So
it's summertime, 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 summertime.
I love that Keitel identifies, and it's not. I'm not saying he's wrong. That it's the most musically complicated
most
rock and roll
musically
pop
inventive,
song ever.
most musically inventive song of 1958. Yeah,
19, yes, he identifies the year. And it is a bizarre song. I mean,
yeah,
it got me onto, I'm sure, I have a feeling, I know it's in the Stranded discography, but Treasure Island, but I have to believe that the film brought me, I'd probably seen the book, read the book before that, but I don't think I'd ever heard Summertime till the film. And it became an immediate all-time favorite. It's amazing.
I first heard it through You Made Me a Doo-Wop tape in probably around 1985, 86, after we'd been friends for a couple of years, and that was on it. Oh yeah, that became a favorite of mine. I put that when in the days when I was making people mix tapes and mix CDs, I would often put that song on and it would get a reaction.
Yeah, and you know what? I put that on a doo-wop tape. It's even weird to think of that as doo-wop, I gotta
Yeah,
say.
I think that was, I know what you mean. Like it's not entirely doo-wop, but I think it did show up on that, and I think it fit in with what you put on what you put on the set. But I know
Okay.
I got it from you, and I can't think of another mix you would have put it on. So
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of weird. He gets in the argument with the guys in the restaurant. And I think the owner comes by and chews out the guys that are
yeah,
complaining. Like, let them be. I guess because,
well, I think
they're
because of
gangsters and he has
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
he's whatever under the thumb of them. But and the other guy just shuts up. Yeah, I'll let the guy beside me just blare music while I'm trying to eat my dinner.
yeah.
Um, that's another film. I don't think I have it. I don't know how easy it is to see Fingers. I might even, if I have that, probably have it.
You must have it because you gave me the DVD.
Oh,
Got
okay.
the DVD and you gave it to me.
Oh,
So,
if I gave it to you, I would have had. I must have a copy.
yeah,
Probably
that's
it
how I
was.
saw it, so
Yeah, you know what? I think it was one that probably fell into the public domain, and it would turn up on these budget reissues that you can find for $2 or $3. I have a feeling I have it that way. So I'm going to give that one another try. I think, and Kale reviewed it. She liked it. I think she compared it, she said it was flawed and messy and all the rest of it. And she probably paired, I wouldn't even be surprised if she paired it with Terrence Malick Days of Heaven, which was, so it's such a careful film. Both came out the same year, and very vintage. Kale decided that Fingers was the more interesting film.
There was one other song I just wanted to mention from it. Did I write it down? Oh yeah,
You-
but I don't know if I have the art. So, because there are a few good moments. So I mentioned Angel of the Morning, One Fine Day. There's another song that I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's quite good, and it's actually used twice in the movie called Mockingbird. I think it's by Inez and Charlie.
Inez, Charlie, and Inez Fox. Well, that's the one.
Yeah, so I don't know that.
Carly Simons. Carly Simon, James Taylor's version.
Oh, is that? Oh, I know. I don't. That's the same song.
The same Mockingbird. Yeah, they
Really?
had to hit with it.
Because this one sounded like a total kind of like 50s kind of novelty record or something.
Well, I'm positive it's the
Oh, it
same.
probably is, but yeah,
The same. It's a call and response, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same song that Carly Simon, James Taylor covered.
maybe I don't know the
yeah.
Carly Simon James Taylor. I mean, I know that they have a
Oh.
song called that, so maybe I just haven't listened to it. So.
Yeah, they didn't do a terrible job with it, but what can you say? It's Carly Simon and James Taylor. It's not gonna be as the original. Yeah, so that's in it too. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. Coming out of this boombox, or
I think at least once. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Like I said, it does show up in the movie twice. I'm pretty sure.
Is he playing cassettes or 8 tracks?
Cassettes, I think.
Cassettes, okay, because it's not early for cassettes, but cassettes really aren't a big deal by 77. They're not really big yet.
Yeah, but I don't think there were sort of boom boxes for 8 tracks. Maybe there were.
Well, there kind of were.
We had a
portable 8-track that I mentioned in the other book.
No, I think they show the cassettes. I think they do show the cassettes.
Okay. No, I'm just saying that cassettes don't really become huge in the marketplace for at least another 3, 4, 5 years, I think.
I don't know about that. When I was a kid, I was playing with tape recorders as a kid. Like I was taping stuff with my friends on cassettes. Like we'd have these little cheap recorders, and we were playing with them, and that would have been in the 70s for sure.
Home taping, but I think people were still largely buying records. And
no, but I think he was making mixtapes. I think he was making his own tapes, I think.
Really? Okay, I'll check into that.
I think. If you watch the movie again. I mean, look, the movie was filmed in 78, so they wouldn't be taking a leap into the future. But I thought it was like pretty clear that he had just made his own mixed tapes or something. I should say one of the interesting things about the movie, and I don't think they maybe explore it quite enough, is just the way, like the whole context of music in this Harvey Keitel's character's life, because he's one of these guys. He's almost like he's like a Glenn Gould type guy on the one hand, and he plays all this classical music, and I think there might be a bit of modeling after Glenn Gould, because he has all these tics when he's playing and stuff, and he breathes really loud, and he's always
Is he vocalized like
a little bit, yeah. But like he makes references on a couple of occasions to, like, he'll do this thing where he almost lists bands or something, but it'd be like, some classical composer from the 18th century, and then he'll mention like the Jamies or someone in the same sentence. So they're clearly sort of playing with this thing that this guy is just this, it's like none of these divisions between the types of music he likes, right? Like he likes the Jamies and the chiffons, but he's also classically trained. And in fact, there's a scene in the movie where he auditions for a classic to become part of some performance, something, and it goes awry. He doesn't make it or whatever. But
one distinct memory I have, when it came out, I honestly thought, because of the title, that it was going to be, the title was like indicated that there was graphic violence. I don't know if I thought it was a horror film, but even if I knew it was about gangsters, I figured fingers would be getting amputated. I didn't pick up at all on the whole connection to classical music and him.
And I thought at the end while I was watching it, I said, oh no, I hope it's like his fingers aren't going to get crushed at the end because he's a pianist and stuff. It doesn't have. There's one really brutal scene.
Is there?
There's a lot of suggestions of violence. It's kind of a creepy film in some ways, but it's more suggestive than explicit for the most part. There's one that definitely made me jump out of my seat. I'm like, oh, did I have to see that? But
okay, I will definitely. I got 3 that I got to catch up with or rewatch. Now we can talk about one thing I couldn't remember was, did we talk about Casino already in the series? I don't.
You don't have Casino in your book,
Good,
do you?
good. I hope not, because I don't think we did. I don't think we still have a Scorsese episode, but I think
Yeah.
that's Mean Streets and Who's That Knocking at My Door. And I don't think I did pick anything Casino,
Well, and I'm not a
which is
big
good.
fan. I finally watched it literally for the second time. I think I might have seen it with you like the week or shortly after it came out. I seem to have memory of, maybe if I didn't see it with you, we probably talked about it after. But anyway, I saw it right
Possible.
around the time it came out. I haven't seen it since. I thought, well, I'm thinking of songs, and I feel like I should at least watch it again. I did like it more this time, not huge amount more. I
Yeah.
still had a lot of problems with just the music being so wall to wall, and like by about half an hour or 45 minutes into the movie, it's like, oh, it's just going to be more and more great song, and a lot of it like great songs that just don't mean a thing. Like they're just going to be constant. It's I'm trying to think of a way to sort of, compare it to your Flamingo Kid sort of thing. Like it's not the Flamingo Kid because it's not lame like that, but it has about as much I don't know, some of the songs stand out about as much as they do in Flamingo Kid. Like they're not there to evoke time and a place, but it's just like a radio blaring in the background at all times and it becomes a din. But I was surprised. There was one sequence that I really liked, and I listed two songs, but I played it again today, and it's like, it's actually four songs, which kind of says something about the movie. He crams four songs.
In that one segment.
Yeah, but they all actually kind of do work pretty good. I
They
think
work
it's
together
probably
well.
the best movie film. It starts with I think it's Little Richard slipping and sliding.
Yeah, which is really good, where she's I guess she's in
It's all
tandem.
about her, right? It's all this whole
Yeah,
thing is about her.
she's in tandem with that guy. She's helping him, and she's expecting a payoff, and that's when Slippin' and Sliding is
That's
playing.
right.
It's got the great moment where she gets mad. He doesn't want to pay her what she thinks she should get, and she throws all the chips in
That's
the air.
great. And De Niro's just watching, and you can
De
tell
Niro's just watching.
he's intrigued, and he's sort of looking a little pissed off, but you can tell he's like,
He's got a smile on his face.
yeah, he's just like too magnetized by her to,
I know.
he just like lets her kind of do her thing. So, and then it
And
goes into
then,
Love is Strange, and Love is Strange actually shows up on one of my other clips here, and then it goes into Heart of Stone and Love
yeah,
is a Drug. And Roxy Music and Rolling Stones are my two favorite groups, and I've never really been crazy about. Well, I loved Love is the Drug as a kid.
yeah,
Since I've gotten really into Roxy Music over the years, it seems like kind of one of their more cliched songs. And Heart of Stone was never really one of my favorites, but I loved them both in the movie, and I actually ended up playing Heart of Stone a whole bunch of times the day after I watched it. I know this really is, I can now hear this song. So somehow Scorsese, did this thing where he just made me hear something fresh. And it's just a sort of way to put her like front and center in the story, I think, and give a little bit of her background. And I mean, this sounds ridiculous. There's might be a little bit of punning going on. I mean, it's Sharon Stone, the Rolling Stones, Heart of Stone. Like I
I
couldn't
hadn't thought about that.
killing, what do I say, killing one bird with three stones. Ridiculous.
No, that's good. I never picked up on that.
But there's just like, it's the Stone song really does sound great, And then
Heart of Stone works really well.
Unfortunately, that I have on YouTube, it cuts it off before it gets into Love is the Drug. But I thought that sounded absolutely incredible, and it just got that, it's wealth and it's Las Vegas, and it's just, I don't know. There's something about it that really worked for me. So
Love is Strange. It's like such a typical Scorsese thing, because it goes right into Love is Strange, and everything goes slow motion, right?
I
And
think so. Yeah.
You see De Niro, and he's just hypnotized by her.
Yeah.
You get a tracking shot into him, and she starts to back up with a smile on her face. And then Heart of Stone is used when he's giving her jewelry, right?
Yes.
And it's a good, segue one song into the other. And I had forgotten about Love is a Drug. And you're right, your clip cuts it off. I think that was the song when I originally wrote the first Scorsese piece, the 20 uses for pop. I think I included, or maybe Casino came out in time for the kind of revised version of that. I think that's the one I included.
Was
I
it so
think.
Heart of Stone or
No, I included it for Love is Strange.
Love is Strange? Yeah.
I
Okay. You
think.
could go with any of them really in that
Yeah.
sequence, I think so.
Um, I've seen Casino probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 times now, and I do like aspects of it better and better each
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I
I
think
can
De
see that.
Niro, I think De Niro is really good at it.
He is. I agree. I agree.
He's not, he's never silly at all.
Yeah.
I think she's really good at it. I think Sharon Stone is very good at it. The guy, the one performance that sort of all over the place is Joe Pesci. It's
Yeah.
like he's like a caricature of himself at times.
100%. Yeah.
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 And I agree with you about the music. It is just there's so much of it and it's so scattershot. And we've talked about how great it is. It was great in the trailer, and it's great at the beginning. Who's that knocking at my door? Off of Sticky Fingers, but then it goes into the
Well,
long boring.
can't you hear me knocking?
Can't you hear me knocking?
Yeah.
Sorry. It goes into the long boring part. Uh, it's got other stuff which works really well. You won't agree with this, but and I wanted to say on the message board, there's this thing I don't understand this idea developing, and like at least 3 or 4 people agree that Casino is a better film than Goodfellas,
Yeah.
which to me is just utterly absurd.
Mm.
Partly because of the music. It's the opening credit sequence, I think, is terrible with that bombastic classical.
Okay,
I don't like that at all.
I definitely don't agree with you on that.
Okay,
I
you
love
like that?
scene. I really like that a lot, actually. It's
all
so
Bass-
beautiful. Just
Bass
the
designed
cinematography of it is
Mm.
incredible, and I think that super dramatic music just does work with it. I do like that, actually.
Okay, not for me. I hate it. My heart literally sunk. The first time I saw it, I thought, "What is he
Wow,
doing?" Yeah.
that's so interesting. The second time I watched it, I was like, wow, this is incredible. This opening
Okay.
sequence. Okay.
And the other thing I think you'll disagree on is that whatever Goodfellas, the music. I don't know that there's a single song in that misses. I don't think there's anything as ordinary as, for me, that Devo cover Satisfaction in Goodfellas. I'm thinking,
I mean,
why
in
is
Casino.
Yeah, why? Yeah, I'm saying, why is Martin Scorsese using this in Casino? He uses the Devo cover of Satisfaction. There's nothing in Goodfellas that ordinary. I don't think.
Yeah.
I know some people think
I think
it's
it did
but
strike me a little bit. Oh, this is interesting. He's using side. I mean, it stood out a little bit, but yeah, it just kind of went by.
I just don't see it as being nearly as complete a film. Realized a film as Goodfellas, as surprising a film as
Yeah, and
Goodfellas.
it dragged on, and it just gets a little too boring after a bit.
Yeah, not as funny as Goodfellas.
Yeah.
There's humor in it, but okay. So another one picked, sorry, in the clips. So
I would like
Licorice Pizza. You'll have to talk about Licorice Pizza because
Which one?
Licorice to let me roll it.
Oh, Licorice Pizza. Yeah.
And there was other music in that?
There's a lot in it, and I remember there's actually there's a couple references. You must have been sort of interested if you remembered it, even to Todd Rund, like that's Something Anything, actually. In fact, there's one scene where they play like an advertisement on the radio advertising Something Anything.
Oh,
and
wow.
the beginning of I Saw, and then they play like maybe 20 seconds of I Saw the Light or something, but it's not super effectively done. And then I think another point they might use something else from Something Anything, but and Todd would be perfect for that film because it even kind of there's a look about that movie that's
got that look, yeah.
Todd Rundgrenish or something.
I should have gone back and viewed whatever I posted on the message board because I think I singled out 3 or 4 songs.
There were other good ones, and I just can't remember them right now. So
one of them was Let Me Roll It. There were 2 or 3 other things, and they were really standard rock songs. And they said, I remember saying I was surprised that he was able to sort of bring these songs to life.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe Let Me Roll It in some ways. I mean, I think I do like that song. It's one of my
it's one of my favorite.
One of the better Wings songs for sure, Paul McCartney.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say it comes at in a very good scene. One of the first, not first maybe, but a real kind of moment of warmth, which I think the movie needed in more places than it maybe had. It's the scene where what's her name, Alana Haim. It's this weird scene with Sean Penn and Tom Waits. It's bizarre. Like
Yeah.
they meet up at this thing, and then I won't even go the whole background, but they end up going in this. It's like Sean Penn wants to take her on the back of his motorcycle, almost to do this like Evil Knievel type stunt or something, where he does some jump over a raft or whatever. But anyway, so the scene starts where she's on the back of the motorcycle with Sean Penn. So he kicks into gear, he goes, and immediately she falls off the back of the motorcycle. No one in this big crowd that's watching this has any care except for the guy, the Hoffman care. Cooper Hoffman is, I think, his real name.
Right.
And he sees, and right away he's horrified because he sees her fall off the motorcycle. He goes running,
Starts running
to
towards
help her and stuff. It's interesting the way the scene sort of plays, because they keep sort of cutting away from him running towards her and then Sean Penn racing in the other direction to fit. And Sean Penn completely oblivious or something to the fact that this girl on the back of his motorcycle even fell off. Like, it's a really brutal scene for her, right? Like, she falls off. He finishes this little stunt. He has this little like mishap at the end of his stunt where his motorcycle does kind of crash over a little, but it's like, yeah, but you just like, this girl just fell off the back of your bike. He had this little thing. He gets up and he's like proclaimed a hero, and all, these hundreds of people are all cheering him, and they're like, let's go back to the bar. No one cared about this poor girl who fell off the motorcycle, but this Cooper Hoffman did. He went and got her, and they start embracing or whatever, and then Let Me Roll It plays, and they play a good part, and it's just a very warm scene. The one thing that where it goes quite interestingly is, so I can't remember how they get there, but this whole subtext in the movie about how he opened like or he had a shop and they're selling water beds or something. They brought water
Yeah.
beds in, right? So they
Yeah.
have a scene. It's really well filmed where him and Alana Haim, they're lying down on the water bed after this traumatic moment, and it's just kind of warm, and they're sitting there and they're holding hands, and I think she falls asleep. And he leans over, and I'm just describing the movie, folks. But he leans over and he's like gonna go to touch her breast because
Yeah.
he's looking at her shirt, and like he goes close. And as you're watching, you're thinking, no, don't please. And he does back away. So you're like, okay, so he's showing some humanity there because she's asleep, obviously, all this stuff.
Right. Right.
She's a lot older than him in the movie, so it wouldn't be politically, inaccurate or incorrect that way.
Wouldn't be as bad as if that were reversed. Yeah.
But I thought it was well played out. They used a good portion of the song. It's at least 2.5 minutes or something. So
I remember that. I would say that just as an aside, my two most embarrassing instances of totally missing who was playing a character in the last 2 or 3 years.
Rubio. I listened to you and Rubio again. And
yeah, one of them was that I missed. That was Sean Penn.
Hoffman.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say because you didn't know that Cooper Hoffman was Philip Seymour Hoffman. But you
know
that
I missed.
Sean Penn?
I didn't realize it was Sean Penn. I don't read reviews, and I'm watching it, and I just, for whatever reason, I didn't pick up on the fact that it was Sean Penn. It was enough makeup, and he changed enough or something. Yeah. John Penn's gotten older, and I guess he's apparently supposed to be William Holden. And the other one was recently in Oppenheimer. I didn't realize, it's almost too embarrassing to admit, that I didn't realize that Oppenheimer's nemesis was played by Robert Downey Jr. Like I sat there the whole film saying, I know this person. And afterwards, you just feel so stupid. I watched the NWA film, didn't realize that the guy playing Ice Cube was Ice Cube's son.
Well, and that's understandable because
was it Ice Cube or Dr. Dre? One of them.
Yeah, no, Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. Yeah. All I could think was, man, he looks like Ice Cube. And then someone on the message board said, "Oh, you do know that's his son, right?" No, I didn't.
Tom Waits in that movie though, and I like him in the Robert Altman movie, but in this,
yeah, he's very good in
Licorice Pizza is very annoying, and Sean Penn is borderline very annoying. I mean, I didn't love the movie. I thought it was good. I agree. A lot of people have said, I think you said in your conversation with Steve Rubio, which I agreed, that you said there's just something really slight about it. And my response to that is that, yeah, it's slight, and it could be a really good slight movie, but you don't make a slight movie and make it 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like, there's just so much.
Yeah, I don't know if at this stage, at this stage in his career, if Paul Thomas Anderson could go off and make a small slate film.
Yeah, like it's not
Plates everything.
Boogie Nights, so don't try and make like.
Yeah,
So
I know. And I mean, even Boogie Nights wears its ambition all over its sleeve. I think
exactly.
it's like 100-fold better than Licorice Pizza, but he still always films get extended and he tries to, make them big films. It's just you can't not do that now.
So we've got 9 minutes. I wonder if I should just run through a few real quick.
Yeah, why don't you take over, Scott? You just run through some stuff and I'll chime in when I want.
Okay. There were, I really want to talk about this one. I know for sure. And actually, I don't even know if you would have had a chance to watch tonight. I know you haven't watched the show. I
did watch the WandaVision. I watched the WandaVision tonight.
The which one?
The WandaVision. I watched that.
Oh, okay. No, the one I was talking about though was six. I put a clip up from Succession.
I did watch that. You know what? That's from the first season or maybe first
season one.
I liked that at the time a lot. I realized that, you find out how you really feel about a show. I started the the most recent season. I watched the first episode and that was 3 weeks ago. I just haven't gone back to it. I'm not crazy about the show, but I really liked that scene and actually mentioned it on the message board at the time. It was such a weird ending.
I've been I've been in watching the show. I've actually been kind of power watching, which is something I don't usually do.
Yeah.
But I've been very critical of it. Like maybe your sentiments about the show overall might be similar to mine. My main problem with it, but they have changed it towards the end of season 3 and now in season 4. I think they've addressed it, but there's just no humanity in this bloody show. Like it just bugs
one of
me
my two complaints
like,
that they're just all.
There's not a single character who does
No.
anything nice to any other characters.
I agree.
It gets annoying after a while. It's like you get glimpses of it here and there, but it's like, okay, I can't. Like, there's no one. Like even some of the periphery characters, maybe a little bit, but it's like they're just all bad to each other all the time. And the other thing is, it's so high pitched all the time. Like. There's no moment of like, let's just show someone doing something like for pleasure or something or fun. It's all tension and fighting all the time. It was kind of driving, but I did find the writing and the story really good. And I sort of appreciated a little more when I finally realized partway through, it's like, this is a comedy. Like it's not, like it's more of a comedy than anything else. I think it actually is intended more as that. Like it's.
Oh, I think so.
I didn't get that at first. I think I was thinking this is a serious drama, and I mean it's got elements of that too. But.
I absolutely agree. I guess maybe this. I don't know exactly how I want to say this, but maybe I do require somebody to empathize with.
No, that's exactly what I thought.
Sopranos, you've certainly got I can't think of his wife's name. Well,
I don't even think you have to get that complicated though. I've been thinking about this a lot. Tony Soprano has things about him that you
has
like,
moments of humanity.
You find him funny and you find him even humane. Don Draper does. Don Corleone does. Like I was thinking, like they give the guy a kitten at least. Like do something, right? Like, but what's his name? Like Logan Roy, like there's him especially. There is not one likable thing about that guy through this entire. I'm glad they killed. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Spoiler alert: they killed him off. But anyway, I will say about this song really quickly. This song it's "Which Side Are You On?" The artist is the Almanac Singers, but it's featuring Pete Seeger. It's a Pete Seeger song, I think. And "Which Side Are You On?" is this song that always kind of gets, almost laughed at by critics because it's so hardline, like. Putting the world in these black and white terms and stuff. And that the title of that episode is "Which Side Are You On?" And the context is more about this internecine, and is that how you pronounce the word? Internecine war in the family of they actually take it to the board. Are we going to oust this guy or not? And which side are you on? Kind of becomes but it's when it comes on at the end of that, and it's one of the only good uses of music in that entire series. In fact, the only really good one. It just has an almost staggering like impact because it's so. And I was trying to think if there was any in your book. There must be where it's kind of played like this. I'm sure we've talked about it many times, but it's just so much thing of like cognitive dissonance. Like you've got this folk song from like, I assume it's from like the 40s or the 50s, probably the early 50s or something. And it's, just, it couldn't be a more sort of black or white song from an earlier era, that it just seems so at odds with this world that the TV show is looking at. But then it starts with Logan Roy, and he's like, having this conversation with the president, and he's being typically arrogant and, sort of sneakily arrogant because he's talking to the president, whatever.
Yeah.
But then they cut to his son, and I have a lot of conflicted feelings about this guy, just even as a character, Kendall Roy. He's kind of the sort of you could maybe call him the loose cannon a little bit. But there are some moments in the series where, as awful as he is and as cliched as he is with his business speak and all that, he does have some moments where you do like really feel kind of empathetic towards. It's like, wow, like he's just been so thoroughly fucked out of this deal and stuff. And so they while they're playing this song, he starts walking around the street. He's first of all, he's forced out of the office because he's actually kicked out of the company. He can't even get the things from his desk. So total humiliation, right? And then he walks out in the streets, whatever it is, Fifth Avenue or wherever. And he's just got this look of utter desolation as he's walking.
Yeah, he's looking on his
Which
face,
side
yeah.
are you on is playing? And I don't know, just something about is the one moment in the early part of the series where I was like, wow, like I'm actually really feeling something. Like this is what an ingenious song to place here. Like it just has
Yeah, no, I felt exactly the same
really
way.
good.
So it happens early in the first season. I thought it might have
Yeah,
been
about halfway through. I think
halfway.
it's season
Oh.
1, episode 6.
Okay. Certainly Kendall has, one of those moments where you empathize with him when it's the season ending. I think, have you finished season 2?
Oh, I do love the ending of season 2 where he does the press conference.
No, I was thinking of where he's at absolute rock bottom, and he's feeling guilty
At the
about
pool?
the waiter, and he's just sitting there in the middle of nowhere. And what's his name? Culkin is making jokes, something like, "I had to wait 20 minutes for this drink." I mean, who's the injured party here? It was explained to me that that's him reaching out to his brother.
Right.
That's what amounts to reaching
Yeah,
out.
Culkin is
Yeah.
kind of a hilarious character, actually.
It's great, yeah, and it makes me want to go back and maybe start over. But I got to carry through season 3. Everything you mentioned, it's a problem with it, and I have a problem that is really it's the whole premise of the show, which is that like they don't take any diversions really. It's always like who's gonna take over the company, and they have to
Yeah.
restart that idea 18 times.
I know. I
At a
mean,
certain point, it's just
I'm not
better.
at the end yet, but even a few sort of critics I've read and say, as good as the show was, like mercifully they ended after season 4 because you can't
Yeah.
where else can this thing go?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on?